Have you ever watched a football match where you could physically feel a 12-year-old curse suffocating one of the greatest teams in world history? A match where every single pass felt like a ticking bomb and the ghosts of past failures seemed to be standing right there on the pitch? Welcome back to Total Football Nexus. Today, we are diving deep into a game that will be remembered not just as a fixture, but as a psychological thriller. Germany versus Ivory Coast, Group E, the 2026 FIFA World Cup. If you think you know how this story unfolds, I promise you are not ready for the sheer madness that happened at the Toronto Stadium in Canada. To truly understand the gravity of this match, you have to put yourself in the shoes of a German fan. Since they lifted the glorious trophy back in 2014, the World Cup has been nothing but a continuous, waking nightmare for Germany. Year after year, tournament after tournament, the knockout stages remained a forbidden territory. They came into this game knowing that failure was not an option. It was a matter of national pride. But the universe, it seems, loves to play cruel jokes, and for the first 60 minutes of this match, Germany was not just losing, they were being completely dismantled. Right from the referee's first whistle, the narrative took a dark turn for the Europeans. You would expect Germany to control the tempo, to dominate possession, to assert their authority. But Ivory Coast had a completely different script prepared. The African giants came out with a level of aggression and tactical brilliance that left the German midfield chasing shadows. Ivory Coast did not just attack, they suffocated Germany. They pressed high, they tackled hard, and they pushed the four-time world champions right to the edge of the cliff. It was a tactical masterclass that left everyone watching in absolute shock. The pressure was mounting, and the tension inside the stadium was so thick you could cut it with a knife. Then came the 25th minute, a moment that almost stopped the hearts of thousands of fans. Germany, against the run of play, managed to break through. Alexander Pavlovich found the back of the net. For a split second, the German fans erupted. The curse was lifting, but their joy was violently snatched away almost instantly. The referee blew his whistle. Foul. The replay showed exactly what the official saw. Ivory Coast goalkeeper Yahia Fofana was fouled in the build-up. The goal was ruled out. The scoreline remained blank, but the psychological damage to Germany was massive. They had tasted salvation, only to have it ripped right out of their hands. And then, just 5 minutes later, the ultimate disaster struck. The clock hit the 30-minute mark. Ivory Coast, sensing the mental fragility of their opponents, launched a devastating attack. It started with Amad Diallo. His movement was pure magic, tearing through the German defense and creating a pocket of space out of absolutely nowhere. The opportunity was laid out perfectly, and waiting right there was none other than their captain, Franck Kessie. With cold, calculated precision, Kessie delivered a masterful finish. The ball hit the back of the net. 1-0. Ivory Coast took the lead. The stadium erupted, but half of it fell into a dead, terrifying silence. The camera panned to the German players. You could see the ghosts of the past creeping into their eyes. The fear of another group stage exit was no longer just a thought. It was becoming a very dark reality. Ivory Coast held on to this lead, dominating the rest of the half and pushing Germany into the dressing room completely broken and battered. How do you recover when your mind is telling you that history is repeating itself again? How do you fight back when nothing is working? What happened next inside that dressing room is a story of pure madness. We are back at the Toronto Stadium. The second half begins, and Germany is staring directly into the abyss. They are 1 goal down. They look lost. Ivory Coast is playing with the confidence of champions, dictating the pace and shutting down every single German attack. As the clock ticks closer to the hour mark, desperation starts to set in. You can see it in the frantic passes. You can hear it in the nervous murmurs of the crowd. Something had to change, or Germany was going home.
Enter Julian Nagelsmann. In the 59th minute, the German manager did something that made every single football pundit gasp. He made a triple substitution, but it wasn't just who he brought on, it was who he took off. Nagelsmann pulled out Leroy Sané, he pulled out Jamal Musiala, he pulled out Alexander Pavlovich. Yes, you heard that right. In the most important match of his career, while losing in a World Cup, he took off his most creative and dangerous players. It was a gamble of epic proportions. If this failed, it would be the end of his career. He brought on Jamie Lewelling, Nadim Amiri, and Deniz Undav. Was it madness or was it genius? We didn't have to wait long for the answer. Exactly 9 minutes later, the entire dynamic of the World Cup shifted. The 68th minute, Nadim Amiri, fresh off the bench, looked up and saw a run. He launched a breathtaking, inch-perfect long pass that cut through the night sky. And waiting at the end of it was none other than Deniz Undav. He didn't even let the ball touch the grass. With a spectacular volley, Undav smashed the ball into the net, 1-1. The gamble paid off. The sheer willpower of that strike brought Germany back from the dead. But a draw was a dangerous game. As the match entered the final 20 minutes, it turned into an absolute war of attrition. Ivory Coast panicked. In the 74th and 84th minutes, they threw everything they had onto the pitch, bringing on heavyweights like Nicolas Pepe and Seko Fofana. They wanted to kill the game. But the momentum had shifted. The fear in the German eyes was gone, replaced with a cold, relentless, machine-like focus. However, the clock was their biggest enemy. 90 minutes passed. We entered injury time. The game was fading away into a draw. Then came the 94th minute, the final seconds, the last roll of the dice. Felix Niemek found himself with the ball near the box. He slipped a surgical pass right into the penalty area. Deniz Undav received it. What happened next took less than a second, but it will be replayed for decades. Undav executed a lightning-fast turn. Before the Ivory Coast goalkeeper could even react, Undav unleashed a violent, unstoppable shot. The net rippled. 2-1. Germany had done the impossible. The stadium literally shook with the roar of the crowd. Deniz Undav, the substitute, had single-handedly saved his nation. What makes this entire blood-boiling encounter even more legendary is a bizarre fact. In a game filled with such insane stakes, heavy tackles, and heart-stopping drama, not a single yellow or red card was shown. It was a brutal battle, but fought with absolute respect and sportsmanship. A true classic in every sense of the word. Germany broke the curse, all thanks to a tactical miracle and the heroics of one man. If you want to know exactly how Julian Nagelsmann built this never-say-die mentality and the secret tactics behind his World Cup master plan, you have to watch our full tactical breakdown. Click the video on your screen right now to uncover the truth.